What's hood with you? This is Opinionated 3000. I'm your host, Mr. Opinionated. Let's jump right in and see what they got cooking.
Morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to District Court.
For the past 4 years, I've chosen to follow counsel and guidance that has led me into a dark delusion.
Ruby Franke, the Mormon momfluencer whose controversial tough love
The hell's a influencer? Momfluencer.
videos hid a dark reality, was back in court today, giving a tearful statement during her sentencing hearing.
I was so disoriented that I believed dark was light and right was wrong.
Her estranged husband, Kevin, and two oldest children sitting in the front row behind prosecutors as she apologized to them directly.
Kevin, my husband of more than 23 years, you are the love of my life.
It seemed like whenever there's somebody that's like putting on for the camera constantly, like posting pictures of their happy family, man, behind closed doors, it go down. Like straight up. I bet that the whole thing that her and her husband doing ain't real. I mean, if you can be torturing your kids behind closed door, then that shit right there is a put on.
I'm so sorry to leave to you to finish what we both started together. To my babies.
What, she get about 50
My
years?
6 little chicks. You are part of me. I can see now that over the past 4 years, I was in a deep...
Is this that lady who was like influenced by another momfluencer? So they was feeding off of each other's negativity and just trying crazy shit on their kids. And I believe, I think this is a story I heard of. I believe like her child ran away and got the cops or something. I could be wrong though.
undercurrent that led us to danger.
After pleading guilty to 4 counts of child abuse back in December, Franke was sentenced to 4 consecutive prison terms ranging from 1 to 15 years.
Ooh.
You're not going to find out what that jail time is anytime soon because it's not the judge who decides the length of a sentence in Utah. Instead, it's the Utah Board of Pardons and Parole that will evaluate the case to determine how long they'll end up spending in prison.
Franke's former business partner and therapist, Jody Hildebrandt, was also sentenced to the same consecutive prison terms. She was brief in her statement to the court.
I sincerely love...
Was she helping her beat her kids, or was it it's like a group effort, like all of them just get together and kick the shit out of a child or something?
She was brief in her statement to the court.
I sincerely love these children. I desire for them to heal physically and emotionally.
Man, why they be so sorry after they get caught? And they don't seek the help that they need while they're doing what they're doing. But afterwards, they the most remorseful folks. That's crazy. How could you look at the child and be like torturing them or starving them, tying them up, and still say that you love that child? That's, anybody with eyes know that that's not what love does. And if that husband knew any weirdness was going on and he didn't stop it, his ass should be right where they at.
Throughout the hearing, the prosecution detailing at length the abuse that occurred inside Jody's Utah home.
In addition to physical abuse, the children were emotionally abused to the extent that each believed, to some degree, that they deserved what was being done to them. Had the older of the children not had the courage to run away and ask a neighbor to call the police, heaven only knows how much longer he could have survived in that situation.
That call to police came in August of 2023.
911, the address of your emergency.
I just had a 12-year-old boy show up here at my front door asking for help.
When Ruby Franke's 12-year-old son ran to a neighbor's home begging for help.
He's emaciated. He's got tape around his legs. He's hungry and he's thirsty. What's your mom's name? Ruby Franke? Ruby Franke is his mom's name.
His pain bringing the neighbor to tears.
This boy has been... He needs... This kid has obviously been...
That man, like, saw something he wasn't supposed to see. He's definitely, like, emotionally, like, breaking down. That's sad. And anybody who knew what was going on, they should be right there with him. As the father, you're supposed to protect your kids from any danger, including their mother. If their mother's the source of their harm or just misery, you're supposed to protect them from that. You're less than a man if you sit back and let your wife tie the kids up and starve them. I mean, come on, man.
He's obviously covered in wounds.
The house the boy says he escaped from, Jody Hildebrandt's, which appeared to be where Ruby and her kids were spending more and more time, hours away from their home.
I'm Jody Hildebrandt, and I'm Ruby Franke.
Hildebrandt was a marriage counselor who also treated sex addiction through her work with the counseling network LifeStar. She joined forces with Franke on a life coaching business called Connections.
All of us want connection. We want to have relationships where we feel close and where there's love.
But Franke now says their relationship was more complicated than that.
We've always said that Ruby Franke is a business partner of Jody Hildebrandt, but she made a very strong point to say this was a paid mentor. I was looking for advice. I paid her to give me that, and she led me astray. Something that the boy...
I thought that he was saying something else. It seemed like I always come to that conclusion. I thought it was much more than a business relationship kind of thing. So she's actually paying this woman for her advice. And that's the advice she got. She paid somebody to show her how to beat her kids, how to torture her kids, because it wasn't just a beating.
Board and many others evaluating her jail sentence will consider when thinking about when she should be released.
After the arrest of both Franke and Hildebrandt, many wondered if there were missed warning signs. Franke had been a high-flying Mormon momfluencer attracting 2.5 million followers on her YouTube channel, 8 passengers. Her personal brand was built around tough love.
I was really hoping that, like, keeping them home from school and wiping the floorboards would, like, really bring pain.
Many of the viewers of 8 Passengers over the past 2 or 3 years became more and more disturbed and started turning Ruby and Kevin into Child Protective Services in Utah.
People have been pointing out how problematic this family is for a while.
When does the way a parent parents go from cringeworthy to child abuse?
My bedroom was taken away for 7 months and then you give it back like a couple of weeks ago.
I don't think our viewers know that.
You've been sleeping on a beanbag.
I've been sleeping on a beanbag since October.
In 2020, a Change.org petition requesting that CPS check on the children received hundreds of signatures. ABC has obtained records showing police responded to the Franke home more than a dozen times over the past few years, including several reports of juvenile problems in 2018 and 2019, and multiple welfare checks in 2022. There was also a recently released 911 call made.
And they asked, were there signs? It's nothing but signs. With all of those different calls on separate occasions, come on now. Somebody could have jumped in and helped them kids. But they still have followers. So obviously somebody agrees with how they're parenting if they still got followers. 2.5 million.
In September of 2022 by Franke's own daughter, Sherry, alleging neglect and concern for the other children in the home.
Hi, my name is Sherry Franke. My 4 younger siblings are living in Springville, and my neighbors have been telling me that they have been left home alone for about 4 or 5 days.
You two stay on that corner.
It all came to a head in August of 2023 when police arrested both Franke and Hildebrandt. Body camera footage obtained by ABC News showing the intense moments when Franke was taken into custody.
Police department!
Watch, it's gonna be nothing but tears.
After the arrest, there were also
There's
questions raised
waterfalls.
about Jody Hildebrandt and her past as a licensed therapist. My colleague, Juju Chang, sat down late last year with Jessie Hildebrandt, who lived with their Aunt Jody as a teenager.
She made me sleep outside in the snow. She duct taped me. I wasn't allowed to speak to anyone.
What, in theory, was the justification for the duct tape?
The duct tape was, in her words, an external reminder to me that I'm a liar and that every word that comes out of my mouth is a lie. It's 100% Jody. And I understand why the public is focusing on Ruby. It's Ruby's children. But all of these theories and these modalities and these parenting ideas, that all comes from Jody.
This account eerily similar to details that emerged when Franke and Hildebrandt both pled guilty in December.
It don't matter who influenced who. It's still the same outcome. The kids were still drugged through the mud, so whose idea it is don't even matter. So I say anybody with knowledge of it should be locked up, like straight up.
Parenting ideas, that all comes from Jody.
This account eerily similar to details that emerged when Franke and Hildebrandt both pled guilty in December. The plea agreement describing Franke's children facing physical torture. One child referred to as RF had his hands and feet regularly bound with handcuffs. The handcuffs cut through the skin, and his injuries were treated with homeopathic remedies and covered with duct tape. It also detailed the abuse committed by Franke included kicking RF while wearing boots, holding his head underwater, and cutting off oxygen by placing her hands over his mouth and nose. Jody Hildebrandt.
If you paying somebody for sound advice on raising your kids and they say anything remotely abusive, the hell are you paying them for? You can't look at that situation and say that this is wrong, but instead you want to point the finger and blame her. Ooh, I paid her. It makes you look even worse. You paid somebody to show you how to torture your kids.
And Ruby Franke are now waiting to be transported to prison, where the Utah Board of Pardons and Parole will ultimately decide their fate.
So when I look at this case, you're probably looking in that 8 to 10 year range for both of them. But for Ruby Franke, probably on the lower end, again, because of the remorse. I wouldn't be surprised if Ruby Franke gets a high single-digit jail sentence and Jody Hildebrandt gets low double digits.
As for the children, after Franke's arrest, they were placed into Child Protective Services. Kevin Franke, who's been separated from his wife for more than a year, is seeking custody of his 4 minor children. But that case has been closed off from the public.
Right now, we know that Ruby Franke's children are wards of the state. The father is petitioning to get custody of them and also to sue Jody Hildebrandt for the damage that occurred onto those children because of her practices and what Ruby Franke did as well. So it's going to be up to the father to really battle it out.
He don't need them kids either.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more...
Yeah, they need to literally throw away the key. And then for one to be blaming the other one. That's crazy. You still paid this lady to show you how to abuse your kids. Yeah. I wonder if there's a mandatory minimum. If it's possible that they'll only do like a year or 2 and then get out on parole. Because if they got up to 15 years on 4 different charges, they should do at least 15 years. All right. Opinionated 3000 out.